In Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 5, the Bible clearly states, He hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. I don't know if you really want this or not, but do you realize that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever situation you're in, it's God's will that He be near you, that He be there beside you, that He be there not only to witness what you are doing, but to assist in what you're doing, that He's there to love, to care, to have concern, compassion, to hold you in the palm of His hand. He's there to protect. He's there to uplift. He's there to enlighten. He's there to encourage. That's what God is there for. But if you're like myself, there have been times in your life, I'm sure, where you felt as if the Lord is nowhere near you. You felt like the distance between you and He is as far as the east is from the west. And you maybe have even felt like He has forsaken. He's walked away. He's left you standing there in the midst all alone. Folks, according to the verse we just read and quoted from Hebrews 13, that's not the case. But why is it that we sometimes feel as if the Lord is not there with us? And what can we do in order to ensure that He will remain beside us? Well, I think back to when I was a child. Perhaps you were much the same. When I was a child, there were several things at times that my parents told me not to do. They said, Jim, no matter what, do not do blank, thus and such, whatever it was. I remember on a handful of occasions, and we loved as boys. We loved to play outside. We loved to romp in the woods out near our house. We just enjoyed times like that. And I still do as an adult. I do much the same. But I can remember on a handful of occasions my father telling me, Jim, do not go in the woods today. Stay out of the woods. Don't go back there. It's just not a good day. Maybe it was the season when the snakes would be out, or maybe it had just rained the day before and it would be muddy. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but he would say, do not go in the woods today. But you know what would happen more times than not? I would go outside to play with my neighborhood friends, and eventually, without even really thinking of it, probably, we would eventually end up sneaking off in the woods. And we would spend some time there, sometimes minutes, sometimes hours, sometimes, if we're not caught, we would stay all day. But there's one thing that I absolutely dreaded finding in the woods. It wasn't the snakes that I spoke of earlier. It wasn't like we were going to run into a grizzly bear, not in our area. I was afraid I might find my father there. I was afraid he might be on to me and that he might come in the woods and search me out. And I may look up or come down from a tree. We like to climb trees and build a tree. I might come down and I might see him there. I knew the consequences of disobedience. And so for that reason, if I was ever in the woods, I didn't want my father around. I didn't want him near me. I didn't want him coming in my midst, because I knew on the inside, even as a boy, that what I was doing in the moment was wrong. And I think that's the same thing that happens to us as Christians. As we grow older, as we obey the gospel, as we follow God as we should, I think sometimes the reason we don't have or maybe even want God near us is because we know whatever we're doing in the moment is not right. We don't want God there to witness it. We don't want God there to catch us, for lack of better terms. And so we would rather keep God at distance and at bay than to have Him come near. But folks, the fact is, no matter whether we desire God to be there for us and near to us, as again promised in Hebrews 13, He is there and He is near. And yes, He is watching. And so here's the best thing to do in life. Do what you do in a way to do it so God can be near. And so you don't have to feel guilt or shame, or you don't have to feel bad for the fact that God is right there beside you. Do the activities in life, have the heart in life, the mindset that you would want to have if God were right by your side, because here's the case, He truly is. And in order to keep God near, spend time in the Scriptures, spend time delving into the Scriptures, spend time examining those Scriptures, know what God requires, and follow those requirements. I'm mindful of Acts 17 and verse 11, which speaks of the Bereans and said, these, the Bereans, were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they searched the Scriptures daily, whether these things were so. Why were they so noble? Why were they so great, if you will? Because they searched the scriptures daily. They knew what God required. They knew what God hoped for them, and they knew how to live that life. Second, you can pray to God. Praying without ceasing. That's what even the Lord himself encouraged us to do. Continue in prayer and spend time with God in that way. You see, the best way to keep God near to you in a good perspective and from a good light is for you to keep near to God. Just like the illustration a moment ago, if, say, for example, my father said, don't go in the woods today. And then if, for example, maybe he was outside in the yard cutting the grass, if I stayed where I could see him and he see me, there were no issues. And rarely, if probably ever, would I have ever wandered in the woods if I knew that God was there. If I saw that my father in that illustration was there. You'll not wander nearly as far and nearly as often if you'll know the presence of God, and you'll feel good about having God near you in your life. Thank you so much. Stay faithful, my friends.